So good morning students, I am Rajendra Prasad, MSc, PhD and then botany. On behalf of Max Muller Global Education, they are providing online education. That's why I am going to discuss something about reproduction in plants. With regard to reproduction in plants, what is reproduction? Reproduction is nothing but the process of giving birth to young ones of its own kind is nothing but reproduction. And this reproduction enables the continuity of species from generation to generation. So it enables the continuity of species from one generation to the other generation. And this reproduction in the case of plants is of three types, such as vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, and then sexual reproduction. So then coming to vegetative reproduction. First of all, coming to vegetative reproduction. So in the case of plants, there are so many plants that shows vegetative reproduction. During vegetative reproduction, there is no formation of any special reproductive organs. Simply a part of the plant body gets separated and that separated portion develops into new plant. So that's why the progeny that is formed through vegetative reproduction is similar to that of parent plant, both phenotypically as well as genotypically. Okay, that is about vegetative reproduction. You know, so many plants shows vegetative reproduction. Say for example, in the case of carrot and as well as turnip and as well as beetroot and then sweet potato. In these plants, the roots are useful for vegetative propagation. So in the case of carrot, turnip, beetroot and as well as sweet potato, on the roots can store reserve food materials. On the roots, buds are formed. Such buds are nothing but radical buds, and these buds grows and develops into new plants. So in these plants, vegetative reproduction is carried out by roots. So roots are useful for vegetative propagation in the case of carrot, turnip, beetroot and as well as sweet potato. Okay, but there are some plants where the stems are underground and they are useful for vegetative propagation. For example, potato, sweet potato and potato are different. Potato and then ginger and then turmeric and then colocasia. In these plants, stems are underground stems are present. In these plants, underground stems are present, and these underground stems, they are useful for vegetative reproduction. So in these plants, stems are useful for vegetative propagation. So stems are useful for vegetative propagation in the case of potato, ginger, turmeric and as well as colocasia, etc. In some plants, on the leaves, buds are present and these buds grows and develops into new plants. So they are what we call as epiphyllous buds. They are meant for vegetative propagation. In the case of bryophyllum, example is bryophyllum and as well as kalanchoe, etc. In these plants, on the leaves buds are present. They grow and develops into new plants. So leaves are meant for vegetative propagation in the case of bryophyllum and as well as kalanchoe. Okay, these are the vegetative parts. This is about vegetative reproduction. Then coming to asexual reproduction. In the case of asexual reproduction, special reproductive structures are formed. Special reproductive structures are formed during asexual reproduction, and from these special reproductive structures, spores are formed. During asexual reproduction, spores are formed, and these spores, millions of spores are formed, and these spores, they are carried by wind currents and they are useful for reproduction. So they are useful for asexual reproduction, they are useful for reproduction. Examples, spores are found in mushrooms and as well as molds, which are nothing but fungi. So in the case of fungi, asexual reproduction takes place by means of different kinds of spores, and these spores, they are light in weight, they are carried by wind currents. While falling on suitable substratum, they grow and develops into new plants. So that type of reproduction is what we call as asexual reproduction. And then sexual reproduction, highly advanced type. Sexual reproduction is highly advanced type. In the case of flowering plants, flowers are meant for sexual reproduction. Flowers are meant for sexual reproduction. You know, parts of the flower, stalk of the flower is nothing but pedicel, and then condensed tip of the pedicel is what we call as thalamus. On this thalamus, different floral leaves are present, floral parts are present. This is first whorl, and that first whorl is what we call as calyx. First whorl in the flower, that is what we call as calyx. And this calyx consists of sepals. Calyx consists of sepals. These are the sepals. Calyx consists of sepals. And second whorl, that is what we call as corolla. This is what we call as corolla. Second whorl in the flower, that is called corolla. And this corolla consists of petals. Corolla consists of petals which are colored, attractive. They can attract insects to promote cross-pollination. And this first whorl, second whorl, sepals, petals together called non-essential organs of the flower, because they won't play any important role in sexual reproduction. They won't play direct role in sexual reproduction. That's why these two whorls together called non-essential organs of the flower. And then third whorl in the flower, third whorl, this is what we call as andrecium. In a flower, the third whorl is what we call as andrecium. And this andrecium consists of stamens. Andrecium consists of stamens, which are the male reproductive part of the flower. So the male reproductive part of the flower is third whorl, that is called andrecium, consists of stamens, and this stamen consists of two parts. A stamen consists of two parts, sterile part, this is what we call as filament, and fertile part, that is called anther. And this anther at maturity produces pollen grains. This anther at maturity produces pollen grains by meiotic division. So this is one stamen. In a flower, number of stamens are present. Say for example, when you observe the flower of datura, in datura flower, how many stamens are present? 5 stamens are present. In the flower of datura, 5 stamens are there. So in a flower, number of stamens varies from species to species. Okay students, number of stamens varies from species to species, and these stamens, all the stamens present in a flower together constitutes andrecium, that is the male reproductive part of the flower. Andrecium can be considered as the male reproductive part of the flower. And this andrecium contains one to many stamens. Each stamen shows two different parts. Sterile part, that is called filament, and fertile part called anther. And this anther at maturity produces pollen grains, which are the male reproductive structures, pollen grains. And then fourth whorl, that is the last whorl in a flower, that is called gynoecium. Fourth whorl is what we call as gynoecium, and this gynoecium consists of carpels. Fourth whorl, that is called gynoecium, and this gynoecium consists of carpels, and this carpel shows a basal part which is swollen, and this basal part is what we call as ovary, and then elongated part of the ovary is what we call as style, and then tip of the style is what we call as stigma. Tip of the style is called stigma, and this is gynoecium, which can be considered as female reproductive part of the flower. So the female reproductive part of the flower is gynoecium, that consists of one to many carpels. and these carpels shows a basal swollen part that is called ovary and elongated part that is called style, and tip of the style is nothing but stigma, and the stigma is the receptive place. The stigma is the receptive place which receives pollen grains. The transfer of pollen from anther to the transfer of pollen from anther to this is anther. The transfer of pollen from anther to the stigma of a flower is what we call as pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a flower is nothing but pollination. You know, pollination is of two different types, such as self-pollination and as well as cross-pollination. Self-pollination means transfer of pollen from the anther to the stigma of the same flower is what we call as self-pollination, otherwise called autogamy. Okay, and then if these pollen grains they fall on the stigma of another flower, then it is called cross-pollination. So which structures helps in cross-pollination? In a flower, the petals are colored because of the presence of chromoplasts. The petals are colored, they can attract insects to promote cross-pollination. That means they visit the flowers for nectar or something else. So at that time pollination occurs. So that is nothing but cross-pollination. Okay, so after pollination, then fertilization takes place. From this pollen grain, male gametes are formed. Pollen grain at maturity produces male gametes. Pollen grain at maturity produces male gametes. And in the ovary, ovules are present, and these ovules contains female gametophyte, that is female gamete. The ovule contains female gamete, and then male gamete, female gamete, they fuse it together. Male gamete and as well as female gamete, they fuse it together and forms into zygote, which is diploid in condition, and this process is what we call as syngamy, otherwise called fertilization. This process is called syngamy, otherwise called fertilization. So what is syngamy? Syngamy is nothing but fusion of male gamete and female gamete is called syngamy, also known as fertilization. What is the product that is formed through syngamy? The product that is formed through syngamy is zygote, which is diploid, and this zygote later develops into embryo, and that embryo consists of different parts. Students, the embryo consists of, the zygote develops into embryo. Zygote later develops into embryo, and this embryo consists of three different parts, namely radicle and as well as plumule and as well as cotyledons. Radicle, plumule and as well as cotyledons. Maybe one cotyledon or two cotyledons are present in the embryo, and this embryo is present within the seed. So after fertilization, the ovary develops into fruit. After fertilization, this ovary develops into fruit. Inside the ovary, ovules are there, and these ovules develops into seeds. Ovules develops into seeds. Within the seed, the zygote develops into embryo. The zygote develops into embryo. So this is seed. Within the seed, the zygote develops into embryo. And then this is seed on germination gives rise seedling. Seedling from seed is nothing but seed germination. So during seed germination, from the radical part of the embryo, root system is developed. Root system is developed from the radical part of the embryo. The radical part of the embryo gives rise root system, and then plumule part of the embryo, plumule gives rise shoot system. Shoot system means stem and as well as leaves. Stem, leaves and buds are formed from the plumule part of the embryo, and then cotyledons. If it is dicot, if it is dicot, two cotyledons are there. If it is monocot, only one cotyledon is present. During seed germination, these cotyledons develops into first leaves. So first leaves, so that from the radicle root system is formed like this. From the plumule shoot system is formed like this. This is shoot system, stem which is aerial. Root system is underground. It is positively geotrophic. Shoot system is aerial, that is negatively geotrophic. And these cotyledons develops into first leaves. First leaves are formed from cotyledons, and this is what we call as a seedling. This is nothing but seedling. Seedling from seed is nothing but germination. Germination, seedling from seed is what we call as germination. During seed germination, root system arises from radicle part of the embryo, shoot system arises from plumule part of the embryo, and then first leaves are formed from cotyledons. Okay, students, so that's why in all angiosperms, in all flowering plants, these flowers are formed which are meant for sexual reproduction. So due to sexual reproduction in the flower, after fertilization, the ovary develops into fruit. Inside the ovary, ovules develops into seeds, and within the ovule, the zygote develops into embryo, which consists of three different parts such as radicle, plumule, and as well as cotyledons. And this embryo on germination gives rise young plant that consists of root system and as well as shoot system. We discussed radicle gives rise root system, plumule gives rise shoot system, and first leaves are formed from cotyledons. So in such a way, flowering plants can give rise offsprings through seeds. So seeds are useful for reproduction. In the case of angiosperms, in majority of the angiosperms, seeds are useful for reproduction. Okay, now students.